Hey guys, lesson 4, which is the last lesson you should be doing for this week of April 20th to the 24th, and it is lesson 6-9 in your SAB. So you should go ahead and open there. And while you're doing that, I'm actually going to give you some directions for this assignment today. I'm going to go through each little section and I'm going to do the first problem with you. And then when I'm done doing the first problem with you, you should pause the video and do the rest of the problems in that section. And then when you unpause, I'm going to then give you the answers. So that's my plan for this video. If you just simply watch it through, you're mostly just going to be getting answers rather than trying it out yourself. So I would really love for you to do exactly what I just said, and I'm going to review that with you on this very first page. So for example, at the top of 6-9, I'm going to solve number 1 for you, and then when I'm done solving number 1, you should pause the video, and then when you're finished solving 2, 3, and 4, you should unpause the video, and you will watch me quickly filling out the answers for 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in and try it out. Number 1, or this section wants you to practice your operations. It wants you to write each fraction as a sum of fractions in 2 different ways. We've done this a lot. This should be super easy. So 3/10, for example, I could do 1/10 plus 2/10. Oops, that's a weird fraction. Or another way I could do it would be 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10. So this would be that time to pause. And now that you're back, 7/7 could be 3/7 plus 4/7, or maybe 2/7 plus 5/7. Again, it's okay if yours are a little different than mine, but that's kind of the way that you should be doing it. And then 4/5 could be 2/5 plus 2/5, or maybe it could, be 1/5 plus 3/5. And then for number 4, you could go crazy and do 5 groups of 1/12, or that looks like a 70-second, or you could do like 1/12 plus 4/12. All that matters is that your share stays the same and your numerator is just splitting apart the 5 that you started with. Okay, on this next section, like I said, I'm going to solve 1 with you, and then I want you to pause the video and go back and solve all the ones around it. But I'm actually going to solve number 11. I just randomly chose one that looks a little bit harder than the others, and so we'll figure out what the answer is to this guy. So this one's stacked for you to solve, and it looks like 4/9 plus 5/9. And I'm going to solve this off to the side first. 4/9 plus 5/9 is actually going to give you 9/9, and we know that 9/9 is going to equal 1 whole exactly. So rather than having to write down a fractional part, all I have to do is carry the 1 over the 1's place, and now I get to just add. 1 plus 2 plus 0 is going to be 3, and then 1 plus 1 is 2. So your actual answer to that one is 23. Okay, so this would be a good point to pause and try out the rest of them. So now that you're back, I'm just going to speed round to give you some answers here. Number 5 would give you 8/8, or 1 whole. Number 6 would give you 3/10. Number 7 minus 3 is 4, so that would be 4/9. Number 8, that's one where you stacked. 7/10 minus 4/10 is 3/10, and then 6 minus 1 is 5. For number 9, you had to add 2/3 and 1/3, which would give you 1 whole. So you just had to carry the 1 to make that 10. Over here, you've got 1/6 minus 2/6, which you couldn't do, so you had to borrow from the 7 to make it a 6. You are adding a full group of 6ths there to make that 7/6. So then 7 minus 2 is 5/6. And then your 6 minus 3 would be 3. I already solved number 11, so on number 12, this is one where you're going to actually end up adding and it equals more than 1. So 4/5 plus 3/5 is going to equal 7/5. And the reason I wrote that off to the side is now I can change this to a mixed number to help me with the rest of this. So 5 goes into 7 1 full time, and then I would get rid of my 5/5 to leave me with 2/5. So that means I'm going to bring down my fractional part of 2/5, and I'm going to carry that 1 to make this 3 2/5. And then for number 13, I hope you figured this one out. This one's kind of tricky because you don't have a fractional part here, so you can't just write down the 1/4. You still have to subtract. So in order to do that, you do need to borrow 1, and you're basically going to make yourself a fraction. and you might as well make it fourths because that's what you're currently working in. So this would then be 4/4 minus 1/4 equals 3/4, and then 6 minus 1 is 5. Another way to look at it, just to make sure you're correct, 6 and 4/4 is also the same thing as 7. All right, so let's look at number 67 on this. No, that's my page number. I don't know what page number you're on. Sorry, guys. For this section, it wants you to multiply and then write your answer as a mixed number or a whole number when possible. So I'm going to choose one from this section, and then again, you'll pause, you'll solve the rest. I'm going to jump over here to number 16. I don't know why. And my job is to multiply. So remember, when you're multiplying, your fractional part is going to stay the same. I'm going to have fifths no matter what. And then 5 times 3 would equal 15. So I now have 15 fifths, which is just a division problem. 5 will go into 15 exactly 3 times. So pause, solve the rest. Okay, I'm going to go rapid fire. 7 times 1/10 is going to be 7 tenths. 4 times 2 ninths, your ninths will stay the same, and 4 times 2 is 8. For number 17, you've got your fourths as your denominator, and 12 times 3 is 36. Hopefully you didn't leave that as an improper fraction, because that actually works perfectly to be 9. Then I've got eighths as my denominator here, and 7 times 5 is 35. I would love for you to change that to a mixed number if you hadn't yet. 8 goes into 35 4 times. I'll get rid of that 32, which will then also leave me 3/8. And then on the last one, sixths is your denominator share. 10 times 5 is 50. And 6 goes into 58 times, because 6 times 8 is 48. I'll get rid of that 48, which will then leave me 2/6. Okay. I apologize if I'm going really fast. Remember, it's a video, so you can pause it at any time. I'm going to jump over here to number, or page, I don't know what page you're on. I'm going to switch over to the next page of some word problems. It says real world problems. And same as before, I'm going to solve one with you, and then you're going to pause, and you're going to try the rest. I know it might take you a while, but this is really important practice, so I really hope you're doing it this way today, okay? So number 20, actually I'll do number 22, how about that? So it says Miss Washington is taking an accounting class. Each class is 3/4 of an hour long. If there are 22 classes in all, how many hours will Miss Washington spend in class? So you're basically finding 22 groups of 3/4, which is going to be a multiplication problem. So we are going to go ahead and make this 22 over 1, and then I get to just multiply across. That's the beauty of multiplying fractions. You're going to take your two numerators and you're going to multiply those together, which will end up giving you 66. And then you've got your fourths, because 1 times 4 is 4. And this is a division problem, so this requires you to actually to write it down as a division problem. 4 goes into 6 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. And 6 minus 4 is 2. You'll bring down that 6. 4 goes into 26 6 times, because 6 times 4 is 24. And then that leaves you with 2. A refresher course for you, we do know how to change this into a fractional answer rather than saying remainder 2. Instead, you know that you have 16 wholes as part of your answer, and then you had 2 left over, and you were dividing by 4. So that's how you would write your answer as a fraction. So the answer to this problem is that she spent 16 2/4 hours in her class. Okay? So pause here to go do the rest of them. Your equation for number 20 would have been 12 4/5 plus some imaginary number that you don't know yet would have equaled 32. But it is also okay if you instead wrote it down as 32 minus 12 4/5 equals whatever your leftover is, or your unknown, excuse me. And A would equal 19 1/5 miles. Okay, let's go look down at number 22. Again, I'm not going to go over the whole thing. Instead, I'm just going to show you your equation and your answer. Hopefully you did these on your own. And this is a good quick announcement for you guys that if you get to these and you're getting more than probably 2 or 3 wrong, you should definitely log into a Zoom call, and I would love to help you figure them out if you're not seeing what your error was. If you see what your error was, or if your parents were able to help you, you don't have to log in. Just might be a good idea, okay? So for number 22, this is going to be W, and that's just standing for watermelon, minus the 5 5/8, and that would have equaled that 11 5/8 that you had. Okay, so this is basically standing for the weight of the watermelon minus 5 5/8 that you gave away would equal 11 5/8. But in order to actually solve that problem, you're actually going to add 5 5/8, which cancels these two out, and then you would have added 5 5/8 here, which will end up giving you 17 2/8. So 17 2/8 would be your answer there. Number 23, this problem would end up being your flour is going to equal all of these sort of added together. So you've got 3/4 plus 1 2/4 plus 3/4, which all together equals exactly 3 cups of flour. For number 24, Henry spent a total of I'm just so used to helping you through all of them, I just want to solve them all with you, but this time I'm just showing you the answers, gosh darn it. So for this one, that's going to be that T equals 3 2/6. You would have ended up subtracting 1 5/6 from that, and then that means that T would equal 1 3/6 hours. For number 25, your equation would have been that H equals 4 times 5/9, and then you would have figured out that your height is going to end up being, looks like 2 2/9 yards. And then for the last one, a track is a 1/4 mile long, so your equation will be the distance equals 21 groups of that 1/4, which is 21 times 1/4. And then when you solve that, you would have gotten D equals 5 1/4 miles. Again, if any of those seemed tricky or you do not understand at all, I would be happy to help you during one of our Zoom hours. So here's the deal. If you actually did what I asked from the beginning and you were able to pause and solve these, you're done with math for today. If you just went ahead and watched and sort of saw what I did to solve these problems, you still need to do something else. So one option could be to do the homework and remembering pages for 6-9, or you could go to the IXL weekly plan and see if there are some IXL lessons for you to do there, okay? Log into Zoom if you need help. Otherwise, you are done with math for the week.